I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue my case. I didn't try to convince anyone. I said one word, no, and in that moment, everything shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, but undeniably. If this story is touching you, comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there. For a long time, I didn't realize how much power lived in my compliance. I thought power belonged to the loudest voice in the room, the most confident opinion, the person who spoke first and expected agreement. I didn't see how much influence silence carries until I stopped offering it. I had always been easy to work with, understanding, flexible, the person who would figure it out so things could move forward. I wore that identity with pride. It felt mature, responsible. What I didn't notice was how predictable I had become. My yes was assumed before I spoke. My availability was expected. My discomfort was irrelevant. And because I rarely said no, no one had learned how to hear it from me. The moment that changed everything didn't arrive during a conflict. It came during a familiar request, one that would have slipped past me any other day. Someone explained what they needed, what they expected, what they had already decided. They ended with a pause. The kind that waits for agreement. I felt the old reflex rise immediately, the urge to accommodate, to adjust my schedule, to silence the discomfort that surfaced instinctively. But this time, I noticed it. I noticed the tension in my chest, the calculation in my thoughts, the internal negotiation that always happened before I spoke. And I asked myself a simple question: what happens if I say no? For years, that question had been enough to stop me. I imagined disappointment, conflict, distance, consequences I wasn't ready to face. But in that moment, something else felt heavier. What happens if I don't? So I answered honestly. No. The word landed softly, but it changed the temperature of the room. Not because it was aggressive, but because it was unexpected. There was a pause, a real one this time. Someone laughed lightly, as if I were joking. Someone else repeated the request, phrasing it differently, as though I hadn't understood. I stayed still. I can't do that, I said. It doesn't work for me. I didn't apologize. I didn't over-explain. I didn't rush to fill the silence. That was when I felt it, the shift. It wasn't power moving to me. It was power leaving the space it had always occupied. The dynamic changed instantly. The conversation slowed. The certainty disappeared. The assumptions cracked. They weren't used to resistance that didn't come with emotion. They were used to me negotiating against myself. I watched the moment stretch out longer than usual. People exchanged glances. Someone cleared their throat. Another tried to offer alternatives that still leaned on my flexibility. I listened. And then I repeated myself. No, that was it. But something about them felt different this time. They didn't control me, because beneath them was a quiet realization. I hadn't lost anything. I had gained clarity. In the days that followed, I noticed subtle changes. The way requests were framed more carefully, the way my time was treated with more respect, the way assumptions were replaced with questions, not everywhere, not with everyone, but enough to notice. And in places where the respect didn't appear, something else did. Distance, not dramatic distance, just a subtle pulling back, a recalibration. And instead of chasing it, I observed it. I realized then how much of the connection I had been maintaining alone, how much effort it took to stay agreeable, available, easy. Without that effort, things found their natural level. Some connections strengthened, some weakened. Some revealed themselves entirely, and I was okay with that. Saying no didn't make me powerful, it made me unmovable. I stopped feeling responsible for other people's reactions. I stopped rushing to soften my words or explain my reasoning in ways that made others comfortable. I trusted that my no didn't need decoration. What surprised me most wasn't how others reacted. It was how I felt in my body afterward. Calm, grounded, present. I wasn't bracing for backlash. I wasn't replaying the moment to find my mistakes. I was proud, not in a loud way, but in a steady one. That single no became a reference point. Every time I felt the urge to overextend, I remembered how it felt to stay still. Every time I felt myself shrinking, I remembered the shift. The power didn't come from control, it came from choice. If you're rewatching this and you're afraid to say no because you think it will change everything, you're right. It will, but not in the way you fear. It will change who holds the weight, who does the adjusting, who does the emotional labor. I said no, and I watched the power shift, not because I took it, but because I stopped giving it away.